Riley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for November 2023. So on November 13th, we will be having our new moon in Scorpio energy. This is going to be at its most peak and potent energy at 4:27 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be popping off at 20 degrees 44 minutes of Scorpio energy. So I'm going to take this time to just kind of encourage you to download the moon guide. That whole moon guide was just designed in order to assist you to do the shadow work that is required of us to make the major change, the major transformation in our programming, in our conditioning, in eliminating some of the heavier emotions, thoughts, and memories of our human experience, and really kind of empower ourselves to fly higher, to raise our vibration, raise our frequency into a new level of awareness. So in that moon guide, of course, you're going to explore all of the different aspects of this particular new moon. This is the most pivotal moon event that I think we've had thus far in 2023. And the reason being is because this officially closes the door on eclipse season. And of course, we've been in this eclipse energy since we entered into the equinox energy of Libra season. It got kind of overshadowed, overridden, if you will, by this very intense, chaotic, confusing type of eclipse energy. And now we get to close the door on that. But even more than that, we get the green light go ahead to actually kind of come forth for the first time as this newest version of self that we have been essentially working on since June of this year. A lot of this is because we've had to really do a deep dive within ourselves. Many things have taken place in our lives that have opened our eyes to who it is that we had to be, the egoic programming, the conditioning that we've been operating on. And then there's this new level of awareness because we are doing the work, because we are healing parts of ourselves that now have us more aligned with our higher version of self. And because Scorpio energy is a fixed water sign, this is a time where we are looking to stabilize out of the chaotic energies, the changes, the transformations that have been forced upon us, and really kind of emerge as the phoenix, if you will. Again, reminder, the phoenix was burned and really just kind of resulted into a pile of ash. And through that death process, regenerated himself and was able to kind of fly out of that pile of ash, rising as the fire, the flame of this new version of phoenix. And of course, enlightened our awareness by reaching the highest point of our higher selves. So this is I'm going to say a very uncomfortable time for us to be in because our energetic or astral bodies that have been reaching new heights, new awarenesses, new stages of consciousness are now kind of being sewn in, if you will, to our physical body, our physical form. The major change, the major transformation that has taken place in our emotional realm, in our spiritual realm, is now kind of being downloaded as this newest version of self that animates the physical body that now wants to fully express this new creative life force energy. Because we've been building towards this particular launch point, there's a lot of jitteriness in the air. There's a lot of pressure, if you will. We've been really restless over these last couple of weeks, and really many of us not knowing what path, what direction, what karmic chapter we're even moving into, because the karmic cards from eclipse season are just being dealt to us now that the door is being closed on that particular chapter of our lives. So we have Pluto, the great transformer, who rules over Scorpio energy. We have Mars, the god of war, who rules over the Scorpio energy as well. They both co-rule, but of course, Pluto has primary rulership. So there is a major change, transformation, metamorphosis to our life force energy that pushes this physical body, that aggresses us through this particular earth plane to reach new heights of our soul's mission, of our soul's truth, of our soul's purpose. And so this particular event on its own is going to be the major pivotal point of change, of transformation. Now, if you downloaded the moon guide and you explored the elemental energy of this particular moon event, you would know that this is dominant water energy, which means that emotions are high, intuition is high, and spiritual life force energy is kind of taking the lead here. Now, backing that, of course, is earth energy. Throughout this whole year, we have been dominant in earth energies, which has to do with our physical form, our physical environment, our physical circumstances. So what this is telling us is because there is dominant water, this is an emotional, intuitive, spiritual change that will be impacting not only our physical bodies, our physical form, and how it is that we use this energy, but will have a major impact on what we change, what we transform, what we alter in our physical circumstances, in our physical environment. So we definitely have a lot of old that is being removed, and we have a lot of new that is being anchored in and integrated. And if you go through the, I'm going to say, pros and cons of all the different aspects taking place under this moon event, you're going to see the natural cha-cha-cha, if you will, of kind of closing the door on some tougher aspects and opening up the door to a more gentle flow, an easier way of life, if you will, because many of us are now operating with the higher version of self in the lead. We've been collapsing the old realm, the old reality, the old identity, the old version of self that we had to be in order to survive, in order to fit in order to just kind of move through this earthly adventure without drawing too much attention to us. In true Scorpio fashion, there is a lot of want, need, and desire to not be in the spotlight, to kind of be behind the scenes, plucking the strings of the puppets, if you will. There is a huge amount of power that is wanted, that is needed, that is necessary in order for us to be grounded in who it is that we actually are, the real, raw, authentic life force energy version of self. And as we're on this healing cycle, this ascension journey, we are unpacking the shadow work that Scorpio season has us kind of attacking, which of course is the egoic programming and conditioning of the humanistic nature. And we are slowly but surely aligning with our soul, with our spirit, with the collective consciousness, if you will, and allowing that particular energy to kind of lead us into this next karmic chapter, into these next soul contracts. So I think it's a very interesting thing to be kind of focused on under this new moon in Scorpio, at the fact that we have a major opposition taking place. First of all, a new moon is when the sun and the moon are in alignment, and that brings forth a new awareness, a new emotional cycle, a new path, a new chapter, a new framework for us to be operating on. But Mars, the god of war, who is in his rulership here in this Scorpio energy, is also teamed up with the sun and with the moon, opposing, sitting across from Uranus, the great awakener. We talked about this particular opposition a little bit more in depth in the Saturday, November 11th energy forecast, when this was a direct aspect coming into play. And we also talked about the reverberatory effects of this particular energy in the ascension forecast for this week as well. But basically, because Uranus is electrical energy, is inspiration, is awareness, is the aha moments and the epiphanies that get downloaded to the highest realm of our intellect, we are definitely going to open our eyes to a brand new way of doing things, brand new version of self, brand new identity, brand new wants, needs, and desires, a brand new realization on what it is that we've been overly attached to and hanging on, and therefore blocking the new elements, the new aspects in which we've been praying for. The Uranian energy is creating an electrical charge, if you will, in our central nervous system to boss up to new levels of awareness, to see things from a different perspective, a different light, and in turn kind of tap into where it is that we have to rebel against conformity, rebel against keeping things the same. Again, Taurus energy, fixed earth sign. Now, Mars, on the other hand, the god of war, he is aggressively wanting to take action and make moves. And because he's in a fixed water sign, this has been an aggressive, pressurized shift internally, where new passions, new desires, new inspirations are taking over, putting us in a situation where we have to boss up into the warrior type of spirit in order for this change, this transformation to come into a completion point. This particular energy is definitely creating a lot of restlessness within us. It is opening us up to where it is that we're feeling stuck, where it is that we're feeling restricted and held back, and rebel against those particular energies. Really being aware of where it is that things have become too stagnant, where it is that we have to open up our heart, our head, our mind space into adopting new ways of life, new ways of operating, new ways of living. Now, granted, a new moon is the dark phase of the moon, so there's no illumination in the sky. Most of the time, it feels very hard, very tough to kind of kickstart these new adventures, these new quests. But nonetheless, there are other aspects that are really pushing for this new emergence of the fragmented parts of who it is that we've had to be. This is like us understanding where we have been operating in the fragmented version of self. And of course, you have to unify all parts of self in order to be operating from a state of wholeness. This is mastery at its finest. And in this particular juncture, this is about mastering our ability to not be reactive through the physical form and instead respond from the higher version of self, understanding where the triggers and activations are being divinely scripted to create a reaction out of us that will push us back in our spiritual healing progress. We want to understand that this is an electrical charge coming down from the cosmos to kind of restart our heart space in a different way. We have a lot of aggressive energy coming to the forefront. We've been held back. We've been restricted for too long. This is a new warrior type of spirit that wants to take action, wants to move ahead, wants to put the past behind us, and we will stop at nothing in order to get what it is that we 100% want, need, and desire. So there is a lot of other different aspects taking place under this particular moon. And again, you'll find a list of those in your moon guide, but it's really pressurizing the interchange of our emotions, of our understanding, of our soul, of our spirit, and then understanding where it is that we have to stand very strongly in our faith, in our belief system, and what it is that we believe to be our truth. And as we kind of unify in that particular energy, it is going to animate our physical body, our physical form, to rearrange and restructure our physical realm to kind of be in alignment with this new passion, direction, and desire. So, of course, this particular chapter is at a 20 degree, which would suggest we are closing the door on the last 2 years of the identity in which we had to be working in. And we are essentially opening the door to this new identity that we've been building in since June of this year. And considering the fact that Venus was a huge part in that, and she went through her retrograde, she was resurrected in August, we've been kind of in a state of paralysis since then. This is going to be a time where we are going to be able to get that heart and head in alignment, again, unifying, integrating in this new wholeness, in this new completed type of power. And from here, we charge forward. Venus is in her warrior feminine energy right now. She is willing to go to war and battle it out and fight for anything and anyone that she values, that is important to her and makes her happy. So especially through such a change of season, such that Scorpio season is, we are going to be heart-led, aligned by our higher selves to take action, to make moves, to start really fighting for the kind of life that we want, we need, and we desire. So this particular new moon is definitely going to manifest differently for all of us, depending on the healing journey that we've been on, the shadow work in which we've been doing. But there's a lot of, I'm going to say, sorting out. We're letting go a lot of the junk the emotional, mental, spiritual junk just as much as the materialistic junk that we're no longer attached to, that we no longer need. So it's very much the water energy, again, being fluid, kind of taking on all different states, all different forms when thinking about certain aspects of ourselves and the realm and reality in which we've built, and just identifying what it is that we've outgrown, what it is that we're no longer attached to, and what it is that we're now kind of desiring for ourselves now that we've reached this placement of power. So there's a lot to teach us here as far as the shadow work goes. And a lot of this has to do with just examining a lot of the negative thoughts, negative narratives that have been downloaded to us in the egoic programming and conditioning that we were taught as children. And because we're kind of peeling back the layers on the truth, so to speak, it has a major impact on what it is that we now actually believe to be true. And because we're unraveling that and unpacking that and shifting our emotions to now align with what it is that we do believe to be true, this is setting us up for a new truth, a new mission, a new purpose that once we move into Sag season, we are going to get busy exploring, unpacking, and experimenting with. But of course, we need this new moon to close the door on that crazy eclipse season and to reveal to us this new essence of who it is that we now are, what it is that we now want, and where it is that we will be moving forward from here.